As the social media usage among people continues to rise across different platforms and formats, companies are positioning their products and services through these mediums. Memes, collaborating with influencers, and moment marketing are some of the tools in the toolkit to show their presence and generate leads in a crowded market with rivals targeting the same set of consumers. What does it take to drive up engagement and close the leads? How are CMOs strategizing their digital outreach? In this session, CMOs will discuss what they are doing to expand their digital footprint and outreach to stay in the game. I would like to invite Prasad Sangameshwaran, editor ETBrandequity, to moderate the panel discussion on BFSI CMOs, tapping digital marketing and influencer economy. Over to you, Prasad.
Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Prasad Sangameshwaran, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome all of you to what promises to be the most engaging session of the day. BFSI CMOs who are tapping digital marketing and the influencer economy. As social media usage among people continues to rise across different platforms and formats, companies are positioning their products and services through these mediums. Memes, collaborating with influencers, moment marketing, these are just some of the tools in the toolkit to show brand presence and generate lots and lots of leads in a crowded market. Of course, rivals are targeting the same set of consumers. So what does it take to drive up engagement and close the leads? How are CMOs strategizing their digital outreach? In this session, we have a fine panel of experts who will discuss what they are doing to expand their digital footprint and outreach to not just stay in the game, but stay ahead in the game. So welcome to Nipun Kaushal, the CMO at PNB MetLife, Prabhakar Tiwari, the Chief Growth Officer at Angel One, Udit Jain, the CMO at Airtel Payments Bank, and last but not the least, Almas Khan, VP and Head of Marketing at CRIF. Hi, Mark. So welcome all of you. Could we just start with a kind of a quick take that each one of you have about the topic of the day?
So I think it's a very relevant topic, and not that digital has been important. It's been important for quite a few years now, but especially post the pandemic, the speed of digitization of these solutions and marketing have had a structural shift, and pandemic somewhere has been a catalyst towards that change. So I think very relevant, very dynamic environment with a very dynamic situation. So that's my take on it.
Lovely. Moving to Almas.
So hello everyone, and very good evening. I would definitely agree with what Nipun here has mentioned. To add to it, I think yes, the pandemic has propelled digital and not only digital marketing, but a lot of different digital processes as well. If you even look into the financial spaces, or you look at grocery shopping, or you look at any other industry for that matter. What also has added to this acceleration is the deepening internet penetration that we are seeing across, be it on a global level or be it in India. And I mean, globally, we are almost close to 60% of penetration, and India is now approaching 45% and growing. So definitely the circumstances that are evolving, as well as the growing internet penetration. And while internet penetration is growing, parallelly, the social media ecosystem has also grown and evolved. And that has, with the coming in of smartphones, the adoption of social media apps has grown. So this whole economy, or the whole social media ecosystem, has been increasing, and definitely a thing that marketers and brands should pay attention to.
Prabhakar, over to you now.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Prasad and team for inviting me on this amazing conclave and amazing panel. Very interesting topic. Actually, it's like someone was asking me like about this digital thing, and one answer I gave them, like, if you have to do fishing, you will go where fishes are, and the fishes are in water, and so is our customer in water, which is digital water. Their entertainment, their shopping, variety of their needs, their communication, their travel, everything is happening digitally, right? And as Nipun and AK have kind of told us that the penetration levels have gone up thanks to COVID. People who are sitting on the fence, or people who are on the other side of 50, were quite reluctant to use digital, but they were forced to use digital to order online, their pharmaceutical, their grocery, their food and all, right? So these are very interesting times, and because everybody is using digital, so just being on digital and having the know-how may not be a differentiator anymore. The differentiation will only come if you have a unique voice, unique identity, and you're able to engage, leveraging the social media and influencer ecosystem that we're going to be talking about today. So look forward to talk more on this going forward.
Lovely, lovely, Prabhakar. I hope the consumer is keeping his head above the water though. So moving to Udit. Udit, opening remarks.
Yeah, hi, good evening, everyone. Really delighted, Prasad and everyone over here, to be part of this panel. And can I actually echo what Prabhakar and fellow panelists are actually saying? 6 years, 7 years back in my FMCG days, digital/social used to be, okay, this is something which you need to do. Let's try this out, but this was not the main strategy for brand building and really customer acquisition. Now come to 2021, if you see, digital is actually the main medium where most of the brands are actually getting built. A lot of consumer techs are actually getting built only digital out. They're not even doing ATL, BTL on TV, print, and radio for that matter. Digital penetration definitely is accelerated. I'm also from telecom, so I can tell you from 2015-16 onwards, the democratization of data has really propelled internet. And now with almost 550 to 600 million smartphone users in the country, this is definitely burgeoning, growing, and pandemic has actually just accelerated the usage of internet services and digital services, I would say. So I think in now current times, if a brand or an organization is not following a digital strategy, I think they will miss out. So it's a very, very important thing now for the brands to go and take over.
Brilliant. On that note, the first question of the day to these panelists in this esteemed panel: how has your company's strategy changed with this ever growing usage of social media, among others?
So a lot of things changed for us when we moved from commission-based brokerage model to a flat brokerage model way back in 2019. We realized that in this new era, I think we need to be totally there with our digital footprints. And we realized we are talking to millennials and Gen Z. They are coming in large numbers from tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. So almost 90% of our monthly acquisitions are from tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4. And more than 75% of our customers will be below the age of 30 years. And the average age of our customer in the platform will be around 29 years. So these are large numbers. And when you talk social media, the entire effort doesn't stop at Facebook or say Instagram and all. I think YouTube has been a big game changer, particularly in my business, which is also about financial literacy. And a lot of the financial business is all about trust, and trust get formed over a period of time. So there are many influencers on YouTube, Instagram, which people trust for a longer period because they come out with very useful information. They talk in their language, so they just don't use Hindi, English, but they use Kannada, Telugu, or whatever other vernacular language you follow. So after this realization coming in, we have upgraded our social media efforts. We have built a large team on content. We have engaged with a lot of cutting edge agencies which are master of their work. We have now almost a year, we are working on a content factory model, and we are trying to produce amazing content at at a price and cost efficiency that one would expect, We are also doing a lot of segmentation of our content. And we have come out with initiative like Smart Money, which is a separate platform, easily available on social media, and Smart Buzz, a lot of financial news on a fingertips. So these are some of the things which we have done. And there's a lot more to be done, to be honest, because this landscape is changing very, very fast. The kind of UP millennial language which is being used in social media is so challenging for us, because on one side you can sound casual and youthful. On the other way, you can be like, you can be kind of offending someone. You never know. The line is getting thinner and thinner as you move along.
Okay, so moving to Udit, how has your company's strategy evolved?
Thank you, Prasad. I think before that, it's important to understand that payment bank as a model has actually come bottoms up, which basically meant that we were more in the rural areas first, and now though slowly we are actually coming into the urban areas. Unlike a lot of other fintechs, which actually started from urban and probably now moving to the rural areas. So this, of course, actually had a huge bearing on our entire digital strategy, because before that we were primarily, much more retail focused. We had digital presence, but were we really using it to, get into acquisition and brand building? Probably the answer was no. Before that, let me start with a number, Prasad. As of now, there are 400 million, I would say, users who are actually using digital content, but only 170 million users are actually using digital financial services. So if you see, the gap is almost 220 to 230 million number of users where we can actually go and penetrate, which basically means the task for the brand or the bank actually is twofold. One is get more users, start using digital financial services, and the triggers can be many. It can be because they're afraid of using digital financial services, because end of the day, this is the money which is involved over here, or they're just not used to doing it because they trust maybe the nearby retailer or nearby bank more. The second one is the person is already using a digital financial services. How do you really make them use multiple use cases? And hence, maybe if they're on other competition, how do you actually move them to your own brand? So in that sense, what we have done is we have actually defined our digital strategy into 3 different pieces. So the first piece for us is choice of the channel. Earlier we were primarily on YT and Facebook. Because that was probably the mass medium where you could have actually still reached the bottom of the pyramid consumers. But now we have slowly started expanding to LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, as we have started become more and catering to the urban digital audience. We have now also added influencers, community marketing, social advocacy, and multiple collaborations to the mix, into the entire channel mix is what I would say. The second one is the communication style, which has actually changed over a period of time. Now the question, especially in banking, is awareness versus education. Banking is a very complex product, and it's not easy to explain it to the consumer. So just by sheer awareness, would people really go and adapt or adopt you? I don't think that would be the case. And hence you need to really drive education along with it. So now we actually spend almost equal amount of money in both awareness and education for the consumer. Tailored content for each and every platform, I think that's a must, because one content which might go on Instagram might not work on Facebook, because the content consumer is very, very different across the platform. We actually also tailor the content as per the target group which we have. So for a bottom of pyramid consumer, it is much more vernac and much more straightforward, because they don't really like spiraled words and communication. But for an urban digital consumer, it's much more in English, but aspirational and maybe slightly more intelligent is what I would say, because they need to have some intelligence. They don't want to sound like a dead duck. And I think one thing which you have really cracked in terms of communication is the disruptive messaging. Unless until there's something which is provocative, we really go and do it. So that's more from a communication style. Third is for us is the targeting, and how do you really reach the different set of consumers which we have. And we have actually done a huge amount of work around that, because we have got both bottom pyramid consumers and we have actually got an urban digital consumer. So, with work with Google, Facebook, and a lot of inside analytics along with our team, we have now been able to reach the bottom of the pyramid consumers across platforms through very smart household income targeting, smartphone targeting, appographic targeting, custom search and everything. So I think the For us, the social media strategy has actually been really evolved in past, couple of years, is what I would say.
Brilliant. Almas, would you want to add to this?
Sure, Prasad. I think I echo the thoughts shared by Prabhakar and Udit both. And when it comes to our company and our brand, we are a credit bureau, and if we try to understand the awareness for credit scores, I mean, Udit is having a problem explaining banking to people. Just imagine, the awareness challenge that we have with credit scores. So the category awareness itself is very low. And then, yes, there is a large chunk of people who are now present on social media with whom we can engage. But apart from social media, what we have also used extensively in our product or brand discovery is an online robust online presence, through our website and blog. So a lot of information and relevant communication is present on these two properties. And through blogs, we are able to play the role of an educator, where we are able to make sense of simple things, like how to build a credit score, how to improve your credit score. So some of the things which may seem very simple, but are very relevant in terms of growing the awareness and relevance for the category on a broad level. The second important aspect is for brand discovery that we are using is the search engine optimization, because it is in today's in today's environment, search is one of the first channels that people look for when they're trying to look for a new brand or a service or a product. So a strong search engine optimization strategy is something that we are working on really hard. The third is obviously, and of course, the social media. So social media also plays a big role in brand discovery. While these three channels are very important in brand discovery, how are we trying to improve our social media presence? So some of the things I think Udit also mentioned is the communication approach. So one size does not fit all in social media. And therefore, what you're using on Instagram may not really work on LinkedIn. That's why you have to be different in your communication style, in your communication approach, while also ensuring that your brand guidelines are met and your brand personality and values are conveyed at the same time. So I think communication on social media, I think it's as easy as it is complicated. And what we are also trying to do is use a lot of data. So in today's scenario, there is so much of data that is available, and the need to marry this data with marketing is very, very important. And there is data that you gather from people visiting your website in terms of visits, the pages they are interacting, the amount of time they are spending, if they are posing any questions. Similarly, on social media, all of the platforms give you different options to slice and dice the target segment. There are affinities available, there is demographics. So a lot of data analytics is being used to create communication, customized communication is what I will say. The second important aspect where social media is playing a role is I try to see it as, an extension of your branch or offices. Because just like a customer walks into a branch and asks for a question or a query or information, similarly on social media, the customer walks in, types in a query, and you have to answer almost in real time. So it is that's why it's called a channel of engagement and not just a channel of communication, because in communication we are only imparting information, but in engagement there is a two-way communication. The customer is able to talk to us. So it's a very important channel, and we are taking these learnings, especially in the like a branch or a customer service touch point, where we try to listen to what our customers are saying and then act upon it. So being responsive to them, listening to them, these are and obviously the use of data. So these are some of the activities that we have done to improve our engagement. What we have also done with social media, as I said, that the category awareness is so low. So it's very important for us to explain the category and the service in simple terms. And we've done a lot of live sessions on, say, Facebook Live, where it's like a ask the CRIF expert, and people come with the simplest of questions, like what is a credit score? And we've done it in different vernacular languages also. So an ongoing effort on education through social media is an approach that we've adopted, and not just putting up features and benefits of our services. So, and I think it's a learning process. We'll keep evolving.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And Nipun?
Okay, so Prasad, I think the good part of answering last is such knowledgeable panelists have covered most of it. So I will restrict my response to the strategic shift post the pandemic as an organization.
Right.
So basics in place, we have been at it for the last about 7-8 years in terms of, because we source our business also through online, and insurance is one business where the products can be complex, where the products can be simple. So, telling about the products is something which mostly is done. And as we say that, 80% is ROPO, and rest the agent sells, or the distributor or the financial advisor sells. But the customer always checks about the product is on the online space. Now, what has been the largest shift post the pandemic has been where it was largely ROPO, which led to a phygital kind of a model. Especially during the pandemic, the awareness for insurance has gone up. People are looking at this product. Not that it's become a full product, but for nearly it is, I would say nudging to be a product which should be in their books. Now, saying that, we had to move to a 100% digital model. That means there are no wet signatures, there are no face-to-face meetings. And the entire activity, for especially when you're onboarding the customers, was moved on to the digital platform. And I said that was the catalyst movement that we have. Second part to it is how social media helps. Now, social media helps, these are very trying times, these are absolutely challenging times. So that's where, as a brand, as a responsible brand, we were using social media is in terms of keeping our customers and people at large informed that how they can reach out to us if they need any kind of help. And insurance, the important aspect being claims. So how you can, in case of any unfortunate incident, how can you reach out to us? But at the same time, we were not really pushing out in terms of buy my product, because as a brand, these are the times where you are out to support the customer and impart knowledge on the products and why they should buy insurances to protect their family. Influencers know better than our brand ambassador. PV Sindhu is the brand ambassador, so we leverage that at the maximum in terms of influencing the customers. But we also picked up a lot of regional influencers in terms of, because they create a larger impact, and the brand messaging was always about why you should be insured, what is the importance, how you can reach out to us. So I think that was a larger shift which took place. But as things go back to normal, hopefully, and we don't have the fear of third wave and fourth wave. So what platforms we have built, they continue. What we do next is build on that, and sourcing continues. Social media plays a very important role. As Almas very clearly said, one size fit all doesn't work. Facebook has a younger audience, and insurance we have seen is 35 plus, when people really get serious about buying an insurance. So how we use those platforms is important. And yes, the second most important part has been vernacular. So we have realized when we do our A/B testing on the creative, sometimes the vernacular have much larger pull, and especially on YouTube. I mean, where you have the largest vernacular consumption, everything English doesn't work. So that's how we are looking at things. Evolving, will continue to evolve as digital evolves.
Lovely. And on that note, if I may move to the next part of the discussion, which is that we've seen a lot of memes being used by brands, a lot of collaborations, and the rise of the influencer economy, and also the regulations that come with it. So if I may ask you all, what are some of the experiments that each one of you has done in this space? And also if you could dwell on the learnings, if any.
See, so when we started influencer work at Angel One, so that time I was heading marketing, now I head both sales and marketing. So when I was at marketing, we did something called Amplifier. And Amplifier was like a industry first initiative where we tried to make a self-service platform where influencers of all shapes and sizes can come register, and on a monthly content brief, they can productionize content and take care of it. So that's where I saw mega influencers, nano influencers, micro influencers, and I know there is a kid influencer. There are multiple influencers segment is there, right? The latest data is that $1.7 billion business in 2016 is now grown to a $6.5 billion business. So it's like really, really enlarged. Actually, financial sector, we were late in the game. Like other segments were using influencers much before us. But one thing we have done in sales side of the business also is something called digital referral associate, where we have tie-ups with these YouTube, Instagrammers, and multiple other social media platforms. But YouTube and Instagram is working with us much better, where we have these content tie-ups with them. They kind of generate leads for us. They talk about our features, benefits, and customer problems, IPOs, and all of that. And so that's a great win-win thing for us, because we are able to give a lot of research advisory content to the influencer, and they are able to talk to the viewers or their fan base in their own language and simplify it and give us the amplification that we need. So if you ask us for newer experiments we are doing, so in terms of newer experiments, we are going more and more niche. We are using more and more language influencers. And we are also trying to now combine the digital referral associate model of sales with the amplifier model of marketing, so that the ROIs are much better. And I would like to share that particularly the rebranding, which we have done from Angel Broking to Angel One, this is just 2 weeks old, and the numbers have not fallen in the performance marketing. How all this Google crawler and AI ML engine and app campaigns work, but the numbers have not fallen, all thanks to the work we have done on the with the influencer community and with our online PR. So I think this particular segment really works for us.
Nice. If I could move to Almas for.
So I think one of the key reasons why we are all drawn towards collaborations or influencer marketing is because the attention spans are going down, and there is so much of clutter even in the digital ecosystem that it's difficult to stand out as a brand in this noise. And that's why we are trying to leverage these innovative and new style of communication. Now, what is the benefit of using influencers or collaborations with strong platforms is that you get access to their loyal followers with whom they have established a trust. So along with getting the reach, you are also sharing social proof of the concept with them. And that's why, this whole genre of influencer marketing and collaborations and memes is becoming important. But these experiments, Prasad, are happening across industries. So it's not only limited to financial services. In fact, we are seeing more of it in consumer goods like accessories or cosmetics, even the hotel industry where, they invite influencers to stay over and share reviews. Or some of the banks have also now started, and Prabhakar just mentioned about the experiences that they have had. While at CRIF, we've had, engagement or collaborations, but we are being a little careful when it comes to engaging with influencers, and memes is definitely something we've not even thought about. So, so some of the learnings based on my earlier experiences also, I'll just put it out quickly. I think it's not really important to jump the bandwagon and say that, hey, everybody is doing influencer marketing and memes, so I want to do it. I think it's a question that all brands and all marketers should seriously consider before they jump onto that wagon, as to how is it going to impact your brand and your relationship with the customers in the long term. It's a very important question before we venture out and accept this genre. I think the second very important learning or the question to be asked is it really relevant to your category? Because if you're a very serious category, where you're talking serious business, especially finances, then is it really relevant? But yes, there are influencers who specialize in niche, and that's a call that you have to evaluate and take which are the influencers or which are the niche categories that I really want to go forward with. I think one very important point that all of us, we've seen a lot of examples, and I'm sure all of us remember, is to be very, very careful when we are communicating anything with influencers or using memes, as to not offend anybody's sensibilities or sensitivities of any individuals or target groups. One last thing that I want to mention is that as a brand, when we associate with or collaborate with influencers or adopt themes, it is very important to plan in advance and think of the implications in the long term. Okay, today I am adopting this particular meme. The core messaging for this meme is this, or this is the cause that I'm adopting. But how is it going to affect my brand in the long term? What are the implications going to be? So we have to prepare in advance in case of any fallback or any issues that may arise later on. We should be prepared to handle it. So I think this is my take on it, Prasad.
Okay, so and Udit, would you also be as a category close to memes, or would you think?
Prasad, I think similar to what Mas was saying, memes is something which we're not really experimented. Primarily, I think because that's also not our tone of voice. Because as a banking and I would say larger Airtel as a mother brand, we're not really into that witty humor. We're not exactly serious also, but we are much more real life slice of life kind of brand tone, which we actually utilize for the brand, and hence we really don't participate in the memes over there. But in terms of let's say influencers and collaborations, and I would add actually a couple of more things to it, which we are doing, especially from a banking point of view: the social advocacy, and third one is the community marketing. So I will actually start probably with the influencer piece, and maybe go directly onto the result rather than experimentation. What has been my learning in past 1.5 years that we have been doing it over here. I think one which probably would go across the industry and across categories would be that it has to be a consistent strategy for the brand. It's not like an on and off plug. As it takes more time for the consumer to trust even the influencer, even though the influencer is actually built in the trust with the consumer, but it still takes time for the consumer to trust him, especially for the products and services if it's selling them. Secondly, what I feel is, when the brands actually collaborate, they should not try and change the persona or make it too brand out. So let's say if I collaborate tomorrow with an influencer, I should not try and change the persona of the influencer to really push my brand across it, because then it's not an engaging content, and probably nobody will engage with it or listen to it or comment on it, maybe even trust it. So it has to be more, I would say, influencer out with a very subtle integration of the brand. I think that's one learning which we have seen now in past 1.5 years. And now with the new ASCII rules which have actually come in, influencers have to be very upfront that they're promoting the product. So there's absolutely no room for ambiguity, right? So, a consumer would know that this product is actually getting promoted. Hence, a subtle integration in that sense would even be much more important now. And I think the third learning, Prasad, would be, as I think Almas was saying, Prabhakar also mentioned the same thing, primarily is that there's no one-size-fits-all strategy, even for influencers. Different TG types actually interact very differently with the influencers. So let's say if I have somebody who's living in a Bihar or a Jharkhand, they might interact much more with a Bhojpuri influencer speaking exactly in their own dialect and their own language. And if you try and use a high-scale lifestyle influencer, which might have that kind of a follower, but the messaging will definitely not land. So I think these are the top 3 learnings which I have, and we have something which we called as 3 R's when we actually sort of search for an influencer. One is how relevant is that influencer for that particular customer. How much is the reach for that particular influencer? And reach is not the only important metric which we really look at. I think the third one is the resonance, which is the engagement with the customer, which is, and the engagement is not only video views. Let's say if you're using a video influencer, the engagement is actually how many people are commenting and really interacting on that particular product or services. Otherwise, a lot of people just come and just like it for the sake of liking. So that's not we really take it as the resonance part of it. And I think in terms of the content partnerships, we are really evaluating it now. And in terms of collaboration, there are a lot of OTT platforms doing phenomenal piece of work. And we as a brand really feel that if we get into a much more meaningful partnership with any kind of an OTT content, which is relevant to the product, not being forfeited, I think it will really help the brand.
I'm sure a lot of OTT platform creators are going to take notes when you mention this. So moving to Nipun for your kind of experiments with the new age of marketing and learning.
Yeah, so I'll put it across. When you have the youngsters in your team who are fresh out of college or in client servicing side from the agency, will come up with brilliant ideas on memes and give you all sorts of ideas. Let's do meme jacking and your website visits will go up. Now, that's when you have to, again, tell them what's your brand personality. Does that really suit with me, with the kind of product that I have? I know all these things sound very interesting, and you'll have these youngsters totally at the edge of the seat and saying, this guy is just not understanding what I'm saying. But the fact is that's why when you're leading the brand, you have to be careful on the sensitivities, on the cultural sensitivities as a brand, and what product you are selling. I mean, I wish I was in the FMCGs or selling some good quality jeans. I could have, experimented a lot of things, but we are selling insurance, and which is a serious product. So we really take note of those aspects in terms of, and honestly speaking, really not experimented. Do I really intend to? Not so sure. As now, if you come to influencers, so, as Udit was saying, it's very important who the influencer is, because you have a lot of people who have a lot of good fan following, but at the end of their talk, that question, I don't know how many of us remember that Three Idiots wala scene. Kehna kya chahte ho? I mean, I've had the whole gyan this influencer has taken everywhere, but net of mujhe keh kya rahe ho? So it's very important when you pick up an influencer and for what activity you are picking him up. So there are a lot of times when you are launching a service or you're launching a product, the influencer quality will be very different. Or when we are doing say for example, for a CSR Damini project, my influencer will be very different. So yes, so when you're picking up influencer, you have to be very, very careful, and we don't have those 3 R's, but I think that's a good take, Udit, I've taken from you on the 3 R's is something which we practice, but we haven't coined a name around it and goes more as a gut feel. So that's what we do. The other thing which is really picked up is moment marketing. But at the same time, a lot of brands, what we have seen is at the moment get super excited and do activities around it. So, but you got to be very, very careful. What are the regulations? So if somebody has won an Olympics medal, actually you can't advertise till the time the Olympics are over. That's the rule from the Olympic Association of the world. And the fine is very minimal, runs into a few $1 million. So when you're doing moment marketing, you should realize whether that moment is also relevant to you or not. I mean, honestly, as an insurance, I won't advertise when there are floods. I'll be more sensitive to my customers. So it's, as a brand, again, coming back, what's your brand personality? What is your product? What is the leverage you can take on experiment? All of us in BFSI are regulated by multiple regulators. So you got to abide by that as well. So I think the scope of experiments is there, but the scope of wild experiments is not there.
Amazing. And, since you mentioned that you work with Sindhu as your ambassador, so does that also mean that even when a brand actually has a long-term contract with a sports person, you still have to wait in order to be?
Yes. So because the ruling is when Olympics is happening, so I'm not maybe 100% the exact rule, but it clearly says that the person at that time is part of the Olympics Association. So there are certain amount of guidelines which you have to follow before you jump in, get super excited, and then you end up into some kind of trouble. So think twice before you, especially when you have a brand ambassador, you have to think twice what you're going to do, because at the end of the day, she's the face of your brand.
So that's kind of a killjoy moment in moment marketing, right? No pun intended. But
No, I understand, but a lot of times brand, because of the FOMO, oh, others have done, I have not done it. Okay, you'll still get a chance. I mean, this is not that it's going to come every 12 years. It can happen again.
So one of the key learnings would also be that know the rules which are not necessarily just about your business.
Exactly. So it's very important. It's very important on your content. You don't hurt any cultural sensitivities. And I think that's very important as a brand when you are an all India brand. So that's important.
And have any of you changed your positioning of the language that your products and services spoke in the age of the social media, as opposed to what you've done pre-social media, for example?
Prasad, in our case, we have changed our company name. We have rebranded a company which is like 25 years old, which is in top 3 competing with the fintech. I mean, in exchange turnover, in monthly customer acquisition, we have changed our company name. What else you want? So, I mean, to positioning, no, it's very complex, and to complexity, I would like to highlight, and I'll tell you that how we tried to kind of look at this. See, today, I mean, the media channels, there's so much fragmentation and there's so much overlap that you cannot do the kind of positioning you used to do earlier, like this, what we used to classic Philip Kotler. I'll tell you chapter 9, I can tell you page number also, but I may be wrong in the new editions. So what this to talk about segmentation, targeting, then the positioning. But today, you don't know who is watching what. I mean, there's so much overlap. So demographic, psychographic, usage, nothing will give you an exact picture. So that way positioning has become difficult. So this is a complexity number 1. Complexity number 2 is that the life has come full circle. So there was a time when, if you're looking more westernized, more modern, more sophisticated, you can charge higher prices. You are good in quality, you have all the features, you are the market leader. But now today it's about being desi. It's about like selling in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. How do you get it right? I mean, look at Kullad. I mean, Kullad is the kind of, the thing which you have tea in the railway stations, if you remember. Now that Kullad is available in, posh cafes in Gurgaon or South Bombay or whatnot, right? So these are very complex times, Coming back to angel broking, we decided to drop broking because broking as a word, the keyword volumes have gone down. There is a kind of, degrowth there. Then, broking, the Gen Z millennials do not connect with the word broking so much. And also now we are making a super app which can take care of the, broking products, loan, mutual fund, insurance, and we'll have AMC down the line. So we wanted a name, which talks about, the whole offering of Angel One. And we also did a positioning exercise, which we did last year, where we came out with this important positioning statement coming from the brand purpose, which was like Aage Badhne Ka Smart Sauda. So that was the positioning line available to us. And the kind of OTT platform we have used, like we saw a lot of success with TikTok till July 20 when it was banned. Then we are seeing a lot of success with MX Takatak, Reposo, GeoChat. So, and these are what, I mean, the choice of the channel sometime, position in a particular way. And now we are working with content with TVF and MTV, like it's a different ball game altogether. So in the age of social media, like Nipun used FOMO, YOLO. I mean, all this kind of, this jargons and terms are there. So brand has to adapt to it, and it has to feel, look, and also offer services youthful. There's no point of being youthful imagery and then your employees are so dejected, so not on their toes, and your offerings are so outdated, then it will not help. So somewhere the work has to start internally as an organization, in your offerings, in the way of your working, the way you treat your employees. And then fundamentally you have to find the right positioning so that you can aspire to become a market leader. So that's the story of Angel One. Yeah.
Okay, if I could bring Nipun in now. Nipun, would you agree that the old, if I may use the word, the old world teachings of marketing are now outdated? It is now time to replace OTS with FOMO and maybe USP with YOLO and so on.
I would differ on that. So, there are certain learnings which are there, and those learnings have also evolved. The basics don't change. The basics of business haven't changed. Insurance has been there for more than 150 years. As it changed, but the basics haven't changed. I think what changes is your style of communication, because as the generation changes. So whether you call it Gen Z, before that you had the Y2K generation in 2000, and some call it the Amazonite generation. So all these are the terminologies which come in. But I think if you stick to basics, you know your customer, and then you define your communication around it, I think that's more good.
Have you realigned your product offerings or changed your positioning to suit the demands of the new age consumer?
So Prasad, positioning you would not change. I mean, positioning a long-term commitment of a brand, you won't change that. Would you change your style of communication? That's something which is very dynamic. And I said, every time when you're setting out a new set of communication, creative, verbiage, you do A/B testing. So that's where digital and today technology helps you, that you can instantly know what's working and what's not working, and keep changing. Or even your digital plan, you can keep optimizing, maybe on a weekly basis. Unlike the time when you do for ATL, where you have to wait for the software to tell you. So those changes have happened. Have we changed our positioning? We haven't changed our positioning, but what the time demands, that kind of communication has been made.
That's amazing. And Almas, if I may ask you, has any internal change happened in response to what's happening in the outside world?
So I agree with Nipun. The positioning does not change when we are adopting various channels. So positioning or the brand values and personality remain the same. But what social media enables us to do, and I think this is what is powerful about social media, is it allows you with a lot of customization. It also allows you to do a lot of communication and be transparent in a way to build the trust with your followers and the people who are looking up to you at social media. Now, what can you do, to position your brand on social media? What I was recently reading, and I saw that, the millennials and the Gen Z, these people are not really interested, or they do not appreciate brands doing self-promotion. So how is it that you will appeal to this segment? It is the kind of communication that we do. So the communication or the posts or that we do on social media have to have some value for these people. What is in it for me is a big thing that drives everyone. So even in the communication, is there some information they can use? Is there some learning? Are you training them to become better financial planners? So the type of communication that you do while remaining true to your underlying brand values and personality, how am I making difference to the followers or my potential customers? So that is the first thing. In terms of when you're talking about your products and services, talk in a language which they're going to understand and which they will take something back from, which is essentially the value that I'm adding to their life. The second thing is these people also appreciate a lot of transparency and truth. So be transparent about what is happening at your organization. It also works very well as employer branding on social media. So, the activities that you're doing within the organization, that or the new initiatives that you've picked up, some CSR activity that you're doing, or how are you making difference to the society on the whole. These are some things that these people are really going to appreciate, because on social media, the mentality is I'm talking to a person. and that brand, and your brand is also that person. So give them a flavor of your personality. Show them what you are. Show them, your emotional side as well.
Brilliant. On that note, I should take this opportunity to thank you, lady and gentlemen, for such a lovely discussion. And I'm sure whoever has watched this discussion is going to go back enriched on how their respective organizations can actually play the new rules of the game. So this is Prasad Sangameshwaran signing off for now. Thank you once again, everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for a detailed and informative discussion. Truly very thought-provoking. Now we'll take a short break. Stay tuned.